But you see, this is where
Yeah.
every time I talk, things go there. Hello,
Yeah.
wisdom seekers.
I'm Jeanette Yvonne.
And I'm Alex, and together we channel the Ascended Masters to discuss, share, and illuminate ancient knowledge for practical modern embodiment and learn how to apply this ancient wisdom to support the collective awakening. Join us in our multidimensional conversations. Let's dive in, shall we?
But just who and how do you channel or receive intuitive information? What are your strengths? Um, and just kind of explain that a little bit.
Okay, cool. So let's see. I'll start with my strengths. My strengths are, I think, clairvoyance. If we look at the clairs, kitty, I think clairvoyance would be my main one. Yeah. Then claircognizance. That's the trickiest one I find because it's just like, yeah, I just know this. I don't know how I know this. I don't know how valid it is, but then you have to trust it. Clairsentience. Yeah, those would be my three sort of favorites and strongest clairs. So usually when I do a reading for clients, it's sort of like firing all of those up. I would get like a sort of picture in my mind. I would just know something about them or, about the situation. It's mostly that, mostly claircognizance. Or if I have a coaching call, well, then that's where my clairsentience pops in the most. And then I'm like, and then it's like, oh, okay, I feel your feelings. I feel those people's feelings in the situation that you're talking to me about. And so that's super useful because, sometimes we just don't understand the other people's behaviors in our lives. So like I have a client, she's like, I don't understand why they did this. And then I tune into that other person's feelings. And I'm like, this is why they're acting the way, this is how they're feeling in that moment. So I feel like that's useful too. Um, and yeah. So usually when I do a reading, I would tune into their spirit guides and mine, but sometimes I just don't know exactly who that is. It's just sort of a download of information. Sometimes, and whoops, this is what I also love is that sometimes some of them have, they have like their particular styles. And so some guides
Oh,
are
yeah.
like, they're so verbal and they love to like la 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 say a story and go through the whole thing. It's like poetry. And some others are
Yes.
like, here's a picture of a bird.
And
This is
figure
the
it out.
information. Yeah. Yeah. So
Then you have to interpret a little
yes.
more.
And I'm like, okay, I see a bird. So, whatever that means for you. Yeah. But I love those poetic ones though. So usually how I would um start my readings, I would sort of say, okay, I'm just going to take a few moments. I'm going to write down everything I see, hear, feel, or know, and then I'll let you know. But sometimes some of these guys are just like so talkative that I'm trying to write down, but it's just really a speech. So then I'm like, okay, never mind writing this down. Let me just tell you
Mhm.
exactly the words that they're telling me. Because it's just
Because
like
it
page
goes
I could
so
write.
fast.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
fast and it's just like really dictating a speech. And how does that come up in my
Mhm.
mind? It's so weird. I feel like, I don't know, probably every intuitive can relate to this, but it feels like it's just I know what the next word is. I just know
Yeah.
what to write. I don't know,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
sometimes I can hear it, but sometimes it's just like I know the words. And I'm not,
Yeah.
people would be like, yeah, but you're just making some text up, but I'm not, because then at some point it stops and you're like, this is it. This is the
Yeah.
information,
You,
you know? Yeah.
then
And
it wasn't really coming from you. It was coming through you because yeah, you feel the go and the stop
yeah.
and
Yeah. And so in terms of other guides, like I was telling you, I think Yeshua is a big part of it. And I know his energy because it's just the
yeah.
most like, oh my, the most subtle. Like I know in another video you
Yeah.
were talking about how for you it comes up as like thou and like words like this, more, if I may, more biblical
Yeah.
sounding.
But yeah,
But for me, because I
but
don't
it's still
have that
very
background,
soft
yes,
and slow and
yes,
calm.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
calm. I
Yeah.
like I don't have that, yeah, that biblical background so much. And so for me, it's not those words, but it's that vibration. It's that
Mhm.
energy.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just so mellow, it could put me to sleep. It's kind of like but
Yes.
it's so loving. Always speaks about oneness, always speaks about love,
Yes.
always speaks about how like
Love.
the only thing that exists is love. And
Yeah.
sort of I though like the most simple things, love, oneness, I am energy. That's his most, main topics, I feel like, that he speaks to me about. And so often, if I do, for example, a reading for myself, or if I'm asking for guidance, it's often his presence that I feel. And it's often like taking me back to oneness, taking me back to the source of all things, just taking me back to that truth. Um, yeah, and I feel like just that is also part of my purpose of bringing this message back. I mean, I feel like, and also they tell me all the time, like, what
Yeah.
is, the other day I was doing a reading for myself, and the guides were saying, like, what is a better gift to give the world than to remind them of who they really are, that they are part of God.
Yeah.
And so that message just come through and through and through all the time. And so yeah, those would be the main, sometimes when I
I
do
think
readings,
that's
I do have people that pass that come through, but not always. For me, not so much my own personal loved ones, because I wasn't so close to a lot of them. So not so much. For me, it's more like different guides that I don't know their names. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that the same is you can feel the vibration and they are different. And it's kind of the same for me with my like ancestors or past loved ones. Um, like the great great grandparents passed when I was so young, and I don't feel like a strong connection. The only one that I might have is with my grandpa, who passed like 2 years ago. So yeah, the loved ones beyond is not one that I connect to that often, but
But you see, this is where
yeah,
every time I talk, things go there. It
yeah.
goes to
Well,
like the
it's so
grander scheme of
important.
things. Yeah. And
Hmm.
why can't we just get along? Why?
Yeah.
It feels like this is it's just every time I start talking about anything, I'm like, yeah, but we can have world peace. And people think I'm such a
Yeah.
like softie, but it's true, we
No,
could.
it's great for people like you, me, and others that think like that because we're holding that vibration, and belief is very powerful. So when two or more are gathered in his name, like
Hmm.
it's all numbers. So it starts with us individually having the belief for that common goal and purpose for the future, world peace, or, union with everything. And you're right, you just have to be an example. You have to prove that it can be done within your own life. And then people see that and it'll expand. And so it's almost like I feel like we're like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell, and we're just throwing little fairy dust all over the world. And you're like, believe, believe. If
Right.
we could get everyone to believe, then yeah, it could be
First
just
step,
as
yeah.
fast as
Yeah.
Neil Donald Walsh in
Hmm.
Conversations with God says. And so I know you're not on book 3 yet, but I really like how he does his trilogy. I feel like you'll see this. I didn't see it, I think, until I read the third one and it came all together. But in book 1, he talks about more of the self,
Yes,
right? How to
individual
like,
concerns.
yes, it was like
Hmm.
individual. And then book 2, it was more like relationship. I think did he talk about his marriage at that point? Have you gotten that far?
No, that might be in
So
book 3 or 1, because I know book 2 was really on an Earth scale, like planetary
yeah, it was like
concerns. Yeah.
Earth relationships with people, collective politics.
Hmm.
And in book 3, oh my God, that's the best. It's all
I
about
know, I
soul
can't wait.
and galactic and like purpose. And he goes really deep. So I love how it actually, you could see that when you get to the end. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
good.
I'm excited. I
Just a
started the
teaser.
third. I'm very excited. But as soon as I started the first one, you're like, yeah, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm sold to this.
This
You
is,
know,
yeah.
this
I
he
think I
speaks my
got,
truth.
yes, one page in, I could hear like the voice, the way
Hmm.
that it talks and the way, and I'm like, yes, that's, it almost feels like a memory
Yeah.
when you're reading stuff like that and it
Yeah,
resonates deeply in your
totally.
soul. And I
That's how I
got
felt.
shivers. I
Mm.
felt like it was oh,
Yeah,
this was meant to be for me to, yeah,
totally. And you
to
read it, you were
remember and
quite
hear
young,
this.
right?
Yeah,
That was
I,
like,
I
wow,
was
okay.
14, 15 years old. It was when the first book first it came out.
Right,
And it was all just, I was randomly in the bookstore. I randomly let my intuition guide me. I picked it up. I read the first page. I was sold.
right.
I had to wait. I read it so fast. I think I read it in like 3 or 4 days. And I had to wait for book number two to even be published. So it was
Mm,
as he was writing them because
okay.
book two and three wasn't even out at that time.
Nice. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you say that it's like a memory because when I read them, I was like, wait a minute, I know a lot of these
You
things.
know,
But then my
yeah,
rational mind went, yeah, but this was written a while ago and it was published a while ago. Like I'm late in the game. So I was thinking maybe some other people took the ideas and then I read those, those posts or whatever. But I was like, this is so like I know these things, right?
too close. Yeah, it's too close. But
Yeah.
he words it so well without,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, without the politics. He just,
Yeah.
it's just bam, so much fact. But
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, I look back. We should talk all about like the books we recommend in one episode because looking back at the stuff that I read, I was like, shit, I should have known who I was a long time ago just by what I was
Right.
interested in.
Right.
I So I started having spontaneous astral projections when I was 11 or 12. 12.
Mm,
I started wondering what was happening to me, and I started getting books. One of the very first books I bought with my own money, my allowance money,
right.
and I don't even know why I grabbed it. I was just, again, uh, drawn to the cover, I guess. But it was a channeling book by Sonia Roman.
What? At 12 or something?
Channeling. Yeah, it's channeling. So I read it and I loved her and I loved the idea, but I just put it aside. I
Hmm.
just, oh, okay, that's a great book. But I
Right.
didn't think I would be doing it sometime in the future. So it's so funny the things that we connect to
That's
as a
crazy.
child that tell us our the
Yeah.
breadcrumbs on our path, but we just kind of like, oh, okay, I don't, nobody else is talking about it, nobody else is doing it, I don't know how. I just
Right.
But then, yeah, that was the universe giving me that, hey, like, this, why does it resonate? It's maybe something you should be doing.
Right. I love your